At number 10, Zac Efron. When you think of Zac Efron, the first thing that might pop into your head will probably be High School Musical, because that's what catapulted him to fame after all. He was one of Disney's biggest and most popular stars because of the High School Musical franchise, as the movies were so successful and his face was plastered on everything from backpacks to candy. But Zac isn't the golden boy that Disney sold him as. He's had his fair share of controversies, like his MLK Day tweet, where he equated MLK's part in the civil rights movement to him reaching 10 million followers on Instagram, and shading Vanessa Hudgens when her private photos got leaked. One of the meanest and most outrageous things that Zac has done was get into a fight with homeless people living on Skid Row. Now, the details of what happened that night vary depending on who you hear it from, but essentially Zac and his friend got into a physical altercation with a group of homeless people, and according to TMZ, Zac threw a bottle at them while he was waiting for a tow truck. Some people said that this fight resulted in Zac getting punched, but again, we don't really know for sure. What we do know is that fighting is not nice, and throwing things at homeless people certainly does not make you a kind person. At number 9, Hilary Duff. When Hilary Duff was on the Disney Channel playing Lizzie McGuire, her character was very much against bullying and hate. In fact, her character faced bullying on a few occasions, so she wasn't the type of person to spread hate on her part. But in real life, Hilary is the complete opposite, and she's kind of mean. In 2018, Hilary got into a bit of a scandal as people called her out for bullying her neighbor. The actress took to her Instagram stories to rant about her rude neighbor, calling them out on how her apartment had smelled like cigarette smoke and Mary Jane because of them, and even ridiculing them on how they afford to live there, saying, quote, "We know your parents pay off your rent, we know you've never worked a day in your life, it must be nice." Hilary really just berated her neighbor publicly, calling them out on many of their actions, but what people really didn't like about this rant is how she used her neighbor's name in the videos. She plastered their name across the screen multiple times, and because of this public exposure, people saw this as bullying, and Instagram even took her videos down because they violated the platform's terms. Usually she comes across as wholesome and nice, but at this moment we got a peek at Hilary's dark side. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to ask you guys to please consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, because it really helps us out a lot. At number 8, Dove Cameron. Another generally wholesome celeb who's exposed a darker, meaner side of themselves is Dove Cameron. Known by Disney fans as the actress from the Disney Channel show Liv and Maddie, and also for her role in the Descendants films, Dove is usually a really nice person online and with her fans, but there came a time when one of her tweets came across as a little harsh and she got cancelled over it. In 2018, one of Dove's fans tweeted her saying how their goal in life was to have Dove notice her, and well, that goal was achieved, but not in the way that they expected. Dove ended up replying to this fan, but instead of sharing some kind of sweet message of support, she instead told them what she really thinks about their desire to be noticed by a celebrity. Dove tweeted saying, quote, "That is a very small and unimportant life goal, and maybe if I notice you, you will realize how unfulfilling it is and turn your phone off because celebrities don't matter. Go find yourself in nature and create your own life philosophy. Aim higher, babe." End quote. People thought that this tweet was unnecessarily aggressive on Dove's part, saying that it's mean for her to essentially tell the person who helped build her career by supporting her that their support is unimportant. What do you guys think? Is it mean or not?
And at number 7, Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron is a Disney star who is beloved by many for her kind personality. However, many fans were shocked to learn that she definitely has a mean side. This all started when a fan tweeted out saying how their goal in life was to have Dove notice her. And well, that goal was achieved, but not in the way that she hoped. Dove ended up replying savagely to that fan, saying, quote, "That's a very small and unimportant life goal. And maybe if I notice you, you'll realize how unfulfilling this is and turn your phone off because celebrities don't matter. Go find yourself in nature and create your own life philosophy. Aim higher, babe." And obviously a statement like this can be interpreted in a lot of ways. It can be implied here that Dove just wanted the fan to realize a high from Dove wouldn't help them get, anywhere in life, and to stop putting so much meaning on it. But obviously the way Dove said this was really harsh, and it was somewhat aggressive for no reason.
At number 6, Vanessa Hudgens. There's another High School Musical alum on this list who's earned a reputation for being mean, and that's Vanessa Hudgens. She was up there with Zac Efron being one of Disney's biggest stars from back in the days when HSM was all the rage, but much like her musical counterpart, she's not as wholesome as her on-screen character might make you think. Vanessa actually has a history of being mean, as fans have recounted stories of their rude encounters with the actress. One fan once said that Vanessa screamed at her while in a department store shopping with her then boyfriend Zac Efron because she was a fan of Zac and all she wanted to do was talk to him. Vanessa caused a scene just because she didn't want to be interrupted by a fan. A recent case of Vanessa being mean comes from her comments about the pandemic that caused her to get cancelled last year. Early on, while the world was still in their first lockdown, Vanessa made some comments about people being affected by COVID COVID and passing away, saying that it is, quote, terrible but inevitable. A lot of people really don't like Vanessa because she just isn't a very nice person and sometimes can say the completely wrong thing.
Halfway number 5, Jon Hamm. So this one is extra juicy because it involves one celebrity calling out another. In this case, Kathy Griffin called out Jon Hamm for being rude to her at a party. In her memoir, comedian Kathy Griffin shared a story about Jon Hamm confronting her at a party, rudely asking her who invited her. He even went on to make comments about her, quote, failed career and mocked her age. At the dinner, she was speaking with Jack Nicholson when Hamm came up to her and asked her, quote, what are you doing here? Then she replied, quote, I earned my seat at the table. What are you doing here? Kathy said that Jon continued to get drunk as she was discussing Rupert Murdoch with Jack, where she continued saying, quote, Hammy picks that moment to start whispering boozy yammering into my ear. First it was him saying, you know your Emmy isn't a real Emmy. I let that one go. But he whispered, you're so old. And Kathy admitted it was not only the rude comments that pissed her off, but the fact that he was interrupting some precious time alone with Jack Nicholson. And honestly, I just have no idea how Jon Hamm could make those comments and not think that Kathy Griffin was gonna blast him for it.
At number 4, Lindsay Lohan. After getting her start by starring in the 1998 Disney film The Parent Trap, Lindsay was catapulted into fame. She starred in a handful of Disney films in the early days of her career, but soon her reputation for being a good actress turned into a reputation for being a mean person and a diva. A lot of people say that Lindsay's diva attitude was caused by her gaining so much fame at such a young age. She became the stereotypical Hollywood diva, having people bow down to her and cater to her every whim with a mere mention of her name. She became known as being really bossy, thinking that she could get away with anything. This then fueled her habit of lying. She's been called out for lying about things like her drug use, all the way to making outrageous claims like having handled the preparations for the body of the late Whitney Houston. A lot of people really just question Lindsay's actions and don't really trust her because she's proven to be a little shady and mean over the years, and people just really don't like that.
And at number 3, Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan must be really rude because he was called out by someone who's been called mean a lot in the past. James Corden. Basically on Corden's show, during his Fill Your Guts or Spill Your Guts segment, he had Khloe Kardashian on, and she asked Corden who was the rudest celebrity that he had ever met. And after a lot of debating, he blurted out, Pierce Brosnan, as Pierce shoved him at a U2 concert. Corden said, quote, Pierce Brosnan, I don't think he's a rude man, he just happened to be to me. I went to see U2 and I was there with my friend Lewis and his wife and my wife. Corden went on to say that Pierce was with some friends who left halfway through, but after they had been gone for a while, Corden and his wife moved into the spot to get closer. Adding, quote, so me and my wife moved into this area and literally I've never felt anything like it. This arm went on here and just pushed me out of the way. And I looked at him and he didn't even glance at me and he just moved back into his area. So I guess here Corden was really salty that Brosnan forcefully took his seat back. On the one hand, I can see why Brosnan was a bit rude as he probably thought Corden was trying to steal his seat, but obviously he could have handled it with, words, not actions.
At number 2, Raven-Symoné. That's So Raven star Raven-Symoné has been pretty successful since leaving Disney. She was once part of many Disney productions like The Cheetah Girls and Xenon Girl of the 21st Century, and she was always perceived as nice and family friendly, but apparently that's not exactly true. Raven also has an offensive and mean side, and people got a glimpse of this when she faced scrutiny after making offensive comments while on the show The View. Raven once made a comment about people's names, saying that she wouldn't hire someone with a, quote, ghetto name like Watermelon Drea. People were mad at Raven for her comments, and some people even accused her of specifically attacking black people with those comments. Though she apologized for her remarks, saying that she's been discriminated against in the hiring process because of things like her appearance, sexual orientation, and age, there were a lot of people who never quite got over what she said, and now she's seen as a mean person. And finally at number 1, Gina Carano. This recent scandal is one of the first to affect stars affiliated with Disney through its streaming platform Disney+. Actress Gina Carano, known by Disney and Star Wars fans for her role in The Mandalorian, faced backlash because of posts shared to her Instagram stories and on Twitter. The actress shared posts comparing being a Republican to being a victim of the Holocaust, as well as posting anti-mask images and tweets, and even sharing claims of voter fraud from the presidential election in the US. Because these posts were seen as highly offensive to a lot of people, mostly fans of The Mandalorian, Gina was fired from her role on the Disney Plus series. Fans have also pulled their support from the actress because of a past scandal that she faced where she was seen as transphobic for mocking people who put their pronouns in their social media bios. Gina has garnered a reputation for being offensive, adding yet another star to the list of mean Disney actors.
And at number 10, we have Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase has had so many bad interactions with people over the years, we truly just do not have the time to name them all. One story came from comedian Rob Huebel, who was so excited to meet the star. However, when Huebel approached him and tried to talk to Chevy Chase responded by slapping him in the face, then saying, quote, "Can't you see I'm talking to someone, kid?" Excuse me, what? Slapping someone because they tried to talk to you? Chevy is also the only former SNL cast member that is banned from the show because he slapped cast member Cherry O'Terry while he was guest hosting in 1997. He was also known at SNL for being very insensitive with his jokes, basically insulting anyone and everyone. According to the book Saturday Night, A Backstage History of Saturday Night Live, Chevy was a, quote, viciously effective put-down artist, the sort who could find the one thing somebody was sensitive about, a pimple on the nose, perhaps. Definitely not the vibe I was picking up from watching his movies. And at number 9, James Corden. Late night host James Corden seems like a sweetheart on TV, and he's beloved by many around the world because of this. But his reputation off camera is quite the opposite. And he's actually known to be awful to staff on set and even fans too. His reputation has gotten so bad that when he did a Reddit AMA back in 2019, tons of people used the thread to share their terrible interactions with Corden. One user reminded everyone about the time that Corden showed up to a private Writers Guild meeting to advocate for lower pay for TV writers, even though they're known for being paid pretty low wages already. Another spoke about how they saw the movie A League of Their Own being filmed, and during the filming they saw Corden throw multiple tantrums over minor things. The last person said that they had tea on all the late night hosts, including Corden, saying that James Corden is known as an among writers and Jimmy Fallon is an alcoholic. However, Jimmy Kimmel is actually a good guy apparently, according to this Reddit user. All in all, it seems that Corden's a nice guy act is all fake. And at number 8, Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts is another actress who has a pretty good reputation in the media. However, tons of people on Reddit expose that she's actually mean in real life. One of the commenters claimed that they had worked with her on a photo shoot, and apparently the whole time she was basically screaming at everyone. And apparently it's a well-known thing that when cameras are not rolling, she is terrible on set. Another popular rumor is that the cast of the set of the movie Hook hated her so much her nickname was, quote, Tinkerhell. However, to her credit, she had just ended her engagement with fellow actor Kiefer Sutherland after learning that he was cheating on her. Apparently, Roberts decided to not give herself a break after the split and started filming Hook days later. And even though there were rumors that director Steven Spielberg hated working with her on that movie, he also came to her defense when asked about her behavior. He said, quote, Julia probably went through the most trying times of her life, and it was simply bad timing for all of us that she happened to start on Hook at that low point.
At number 7, Christina Aguilera. When thinking about Disney stars, I think you'd have to go pretty far down the list to get to actress and singer Christina Aguilera. A lot of people forget that she was once a Disney star, having been part of the Mickey Mouse Club. Well, from her time with the mouse, things certainly have changed and she's become a pretty mean person. Apparently, there's a lot that makes Christina a mean person. For starters, she's had some bad blood with past members of The Voice, specifically Adam Levine. The two would fight a lot and make for an uncomfortable work environment, but that's not all. She's also had feuds with people like Pink, Mariah Carey, and even Valerie Bertinelli. Apparently, she isn't all too fun to work with either because she's kind of a diva with the way that she demands things from people, and working for her isn't much of a treat either. According to those who've worked with her, she is rude and demanding, especially to housekeeping staff, as they've said that they are treated horribly by her. All in all, she is not the nicest person ever, adding to the list of mean Disney stars.
And at number 6, Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock is another star that has shocked people with just how mean she can be in real life. When fans have had the chance to meet her in real life, they might be expecting to see warm characters like her role in The Blind Side. But that's not the case. A former fan named Denise Codes told Star Magazine in 2012 about a run-in with Bullock. Apparently her and her husband, who is a veteran in a wheelchair, were out for a walk, and the couple ran into her during the filming break. Apparently the couple asked for an autograph, but things did not go well. Denise said, quote, Sandra was so rude. She covered her face and yelled. He just wanted an autograph, and she actually yelled at him. Now I understand not having the time to greet fans, and how annoying it probably is to be hounded, but like a single wheelchair-bound veteran and his wife, in what world does their polite request for an autograph warrant a yelling match? You know, we don't know the full story, but that's That one's pretty bad. Halfway number 5, Alec Baldwin. Honestly, none of you guys should be shocked by seeing Alec Baldwin on this list, because he makes his mean persona well known, especially the paparazzi. He also has a notorious short temper. One of his earliest scandals happened in 1995, where he was placed under a citizen's arrest after punching a cameraman in the face. The altercation happened because a photographer was trying to take a picture of his new daughter, so a lot of people actually took Alec's side with this one. And if this aggression was a one-off, that would be one thing, but unfortunately this isn't the case with Alec. Later on in 2007, he was in the news again for berating his teenage daughter Ireland on a phone call, calling her a selfish little pig, among many other harsh things, just because she didn't pick up the call. Lastly, he was kicked off an American Airlines flight in 2011 after getting aggressive because he was asked to turn off his phone. And honestly, I'm sure there are so much more, but these are just the first few that I could find. And at number 4, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Catherine Zeta-Jones gained a reputation as a mean girl after it was revealed that she made some questionable comments to a young fan. Allegedly, when an 8-year-old fan told Zeta-Jones that she wanted to become an actress, the fan was left completely devastated. The girl recalled the awkward moment years later, saying, quote, "She turned to me, looked up and down and said, quote, 'You're pretty enough, I suppose,' then went back to her conversation. I went from feeling at ease in the world to constantly thinking about how everyone was judging me on my appearance." But that's not the only comment that has gotten Zeta-Jones backlash. In one interview with The Mirror, she said, quote, "I'm sick of being humbled. I really am. Sorry I'm rich. Sorry I'm married to a movie star. Sorry I'm not so bad looking." And based on those comments, I'm definitely sensing some mean girl energy.
At number 3, Shia LaBeouf. Former Disney actor Shia LaBeouf, known for his time on Even Stevens, has also faced some controversy because of his actions. He's faced backlash for racism in the past, as he once got into a confrontation with a black police officer and told the officer that he was going to hell because of his skin color. He has also faced criticisms for plagiarism, as he's been caught stealing work from other people, from things like apologies to story plots, and has even been in a few scandals for violence, as he's been involved in many physical altercations over the years. Most recently, he faced scrutiny as his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs came forward to talk about how he hurt her mentally and physically while in a relationship with him, recounting some of the horrible instances of abuse that she faced while with him. Shia is certainly one of the meanest people to come from Disney.
And at number 2, Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg earned a bad reputation after he was interviewed by journalist Romina Puga and came off very rude, belittling her throughout. During their conversation, Eisenberg made tons of digs at Puga, like making fun of her interview style, joking that she had questions written on her hand, and joking that she was on his time when she joked that he should hurry up. During the interview, it seemed like there was a potential their banter was actually playful flirting, but Puga revealed later that she was hurt by the interview and his belittling comments, while Eisenberg felt that she found his dry humor amusing. Eisenberg said after, quote, "I remember she was laughing. Even after she left, I said to people in the room, what a relief. Like that was the most funny, interesting interview I'd had all day." So his rudeness could just be summed up to miscommunication. And at number 1, Ellen DeGeneres. Of course, I could not make this list without including the current queen of mean, Ellen. Ellen's fall from niceness all started when one of DeGeneres' former employees, Kevin T. Porter, tweeted out that Ellen was, quote, "notoriously one of the meanest people alive." And the replies of the tweet shared tons of negative interactions that people had with Ellen over the years. This sparked a whole wave of exposing, and not only of Ellen, but her show as well. And it was revealed that her show had a toxic work environment, and her staff were verbally berated constantly. There were even reports of inappropriate conduct by high-level producers of the show. And at number 10, we have Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff is probably one of the most beloved Disney Channel actors ever, but she has a bit of a mean side to her. In 2018, Hilary got into a bit of a scandal as people called her out for bullying her neighbor. The story here was that Hilary was ranting online about how much that she hated her neighbor. Relatable. Even calling out their bad habits like smoking in the apartment and not taking the trash out properly. Duff even called the neighbor out for not paying their own rent, saying in one of her Instagram stories, quote, "We know your parents pay your rent. We know you've never worked a day in your life. It must be nice." And even though everyone can understand ranting about a neighbor, Duff crossed a major line when she posted the name and Instagram profile of the neighbor on her story, which is a massive privacy issue that made fans think Hilary was using her followers to hate on this person. Instagram even took down her videos because they violated the platform's terms. And at number 9, Armie Hammer. So I don't want any of you guys to think that I'm putting the allegations against Armie Hammer lightly, because this man is obviously a lot more than just mean. Over the past few months, serious allegations have come forward against Hammer, including the fact that he had dangerous and harmful fantasies that he would play out while sleeping with women. More recently, an allegation came out that Army forced himself on a woman, and he might even be responsible for a number of more heinous crimes. Because of these allegations, Army has been dropped from practically all projects that he had signed on to be a part of. Currently, Army is denying all allegations, but the evidence against him is mounting. In at number 8, Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is one of the few celebrities who's actually admitted to being mean, and on purpose. Jennifer says this is a way to defend herself against fans and paparazzi who might want too much from her and make them leave her alone. In an interview with Variety, she said, quote, "I just generally, once I enter a public place, I become incredibly rude. That's kind of like my only way of defending myself." Even adding that if she sees a fan coming to her table, she'll start wagging her finger and make a mean face. She also apparently bluntly responds no when people ask her for selfies. But obviously this behavior is gonna make you lose some fans, which has happened to Jennifer as a result of these actions. And at number 7, Mike Myers. This one breaks my heart, but the comedy legend is actually really terrible in real life. He's known for being mean to colleagues, fans, and his personal assistants. In an interview with the AV Club, Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat co-star Amy Hill shed some light on how bad he can be on set. Apparently he hired an assistant, and their entire job was to follow him around all day and feed him chocolate from a Tupperware container when he wanted it. She also exposed that he was a diva, making everyone wait around for him, as well as micromanaging everyone on set. The director of Wayne's World, Penelope Spheres, is another colleague that had some choice words to say about Myers. She called him, quote, emotionally needy, and saying that he, quote, got more difficult as the shoot went along. And at number 6, Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon is basically America's sweetheart, seemingly on and off screen. But there have been a few incidents that have made people think twice about her nice girl persona, like when she was arrested for a DUI in 2013. Her and her husband were pulled over by an officer, and Reese's husband was given a DUI charge. But then in an effort to fight the charges, and I'm guessing intimidate the officer into letting him go, Reese pulled the "Do you know who I am" card, which is just so cringe when you actually hear it happen in real life. But the fact that she was getting in the officer's face while he was arresting her husband got her arrested for disorderly conduct. And you might be wondering how we know so much about that arrest. Well, the whole incident was actually caught on camera, and America could see Reese get up in arms with law enforcement for 6 minutes straight.
At number 5, Bella Thorne. Out of all of Disney's past actors, Bella Thorne is one of the most controversial and most hated. She's been very outspoken about her time at Disney and how they forced her to conform to a specific image, so many of her actions are tied in with that and how she's sort of rebelling against the system, if you will. But a lot of people just don't like that about her. Over the years, she's faced many scandals and controversies, like her most recent OnlyFans scam, where she not only scammed people into paying upwards of $200 for content that isn't necessarily what they were expecting, but also having greatly affected the livelihoods of other creators on the platform because of the scam, and for prompting new guidelines that affect creators' revenue. Other than that scandal, she's also faced a backlash for having used racial slurs online, cheating on her partners, and bashing other celebrities online. Recently, she released a diss track about her ex Tana Mongeau that turned into a Twitter war between them. There have also been reports of Bella stealing from people, as last year an owner of a small business called Bella out for not going through on her deal to promote her brand in exchange for $1,500 worth of jewelry. Bella just is not the nicest person out there.
In at number 4, Adam Levine. Since Adam Levine has been a host on The Voice, many fans are seeing his true colors, and they aren't pretty. Though Adam has cleaned up his act a bit in recent years after settling down, there was a time where he wasn't a nice guy. In the past, Adam has trash-talked a lot of his exes, making for some pretty toxic energy. And of course, we have to mention his feuding with co-stars of The Voice like Christina Aguilera and Miley Cyrus. It seems his co-host Blake Shelton also had problems with him too, as Blake made a comment on a recent episode of the show where Levine is no longer a host, saying, quote, "I want you to look just for a second at this coaching panel. Take a note at who's missing and who's in that chair." Now, I'm not saying that Kelly Clarkson got Adam fired, but he's gone and she's sitting there, okay? Adam Levine has also been accused of being a homewrecker because he had an alleged affair with Jessica Simpson, but that's still just speculation. Lastly, he said in the past that he, quote, "didn't give autographs to ugly chicks," and I just really can't look at him the same way now. And at number 3, Katherine Heigl. Katherine Heigl quickly became one of Hollywood's most beloved stars, but she ended up earning herself a bad reputation just as fast. She first became a household name on the show Grey's Anatomy, but she burned bridges with the show in 2008 when she actually pulled her name out of contention for an Emmy Award after being nominated. Heigl said in a statement, quote, "I did not feel that I was given the material this season to warrant an Emmy nomination, and in an effort to maintain the integrity of the Academy organization, I withdrew my name from contention." But of course, fans of the show, as well as creator and writer Shonda Rhimes, were not pleased, and quickly found a reason to write Heigl off the show. Heigl got some more bad press after she decided to badmouth one of her own movies, Knocked Up, in a 2007 cover interview with Vanity Fair. After a string of bad PR, she was essentially blacklisted from Hollywood. And at number 2, Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer is another person who has been in some unsavory encounters with fans. One time that got a lot of press was in New York City, when an Upper West Side Equinox asked her to present her membership card, which is standard practice at the upscale fitness club. But she refused, claiming that since she was so famous and everyone knew who she was, she didn't need to check in. One source told Page 6, quote, she felt entitled to just walk in. She didn't want to show her key fob and wanted to be able to go in and not be questioned. The source continued, quote, it was clear that Amy wanted to go in under the radar and not even stop to have the desk clerk look up her account on the computer. So we can chalk this one up to a classic case of celebrities being entitled, I guess. And finally, number 1, Dan Aykroyd. So Dan is another person who is not at all what they seem to be on screen, with an overwhelming consensus that he's really awful in real life. He currently lives in a small suburb of Ontario, and many residents have shared their experiences living in the same place as Aykroyd online. Many residents say that Aykroyd travels with a group of bodyguards that are notorious for being rude and intimidating. One story in particular said, quote, we were enjoying a post-bar snack at a pita pit in Kingston when Dan Aykroyd and his entourage cut in front of a large line of people. Dan ordered a few pitas and slapped down a $100 bill. When the cashier told him that they didn't accept $100 or $50 bills, he became very enraged and yelled that he, quote, owned this town. He stormed out of the store swearing and making a scene. Apparently one of the people there called him out on his behavior, thankfully, but this definitely doesn't seem like a one-time thing.